Ethan Cole sat alone in a quiet corner of the great starport on Vera Station, one of the largest trade hubs in the galaxy. Around him, alien voices filled the air like a never-ending song. Shimmering scales, glowing eyes, feathered cloaks. Beings from hundreds of worlds moved in streams across the vast halls. To many, this chaos was normal, but to Ethan, it still felt unreal. Humans were rare out here. Most alien races saw Earth as young, still learning, still weak. But Ethan had already fought in 2 off-world conflicts as a soldier for hire. He had faced dangers most humans back home could not even imagine. Now he lived by his skill with a gun, his sharp eyes, and his unshakable grit. The problem was jobs were scarce, and money did not last forever. He sipped a bitter drink and stared at the small data slate in front of him. Another rejected application. Alien guilds preferred to hire their own kind. Why trust a human? Why risk something new? Ethan was used to those doubts, but today it weighed heavier than before. That was when a shadow fell across his table. "You are Ethan Cole?" asked a voice. Ethan looked up. The speaker was a tall alien with silver skin that shimmered like liquid metal. His face was long, with 3 black eyes blinking slowly. The alien wore robes marked with strange family crests. "That depends," Ethan said calmly. "Who's asking?" The alien lowered his voice. "I am Sereth, representative of the House of Aurelian. My employers require protection. They seek someone unusual, someone not bound by local politics." Ethan leaned back in his chair. "And you think that's me?" Sereth studied him with unreadable eyes. "Your reputation says you survived the Karis warfront. Few humans left that battlefield alive. You are disciplined, hard, and you do not owe loyalty to anyone here. That is why you are perfect." Ethan frowned. Offers like this rarely came without strings. "Who needs protection?" Sereth hesitated before answering. 2 heirs of the Aurelian family, twin sisters. They are important, and they are in danger. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Important how?" "They inherit control of vast trade routes. Rivals want them silenced. There have been attempts already. Sabotage, assassins, poison. My masters cannot trust anyone within their own world. They need an outsider. They need you." The human crossed his arms. "Sounds like royalty. Royalty brings trouble. I don't babysit." Sereth's voice grew firm. "You would not be a babysitter. You would be their shield, their guardian. If they fall, our family falls with them. And if our family falls, the balance of trade in 3 sectors collapses. Do you understand?" Ethan did. In the galaxy, money and power moved not only through armies, but through families like this one. Taking the job meant stepping into the middle of dangerous politics. Still, he asked the one question that mattered. "What's the pay?" Sereth handed him a small chip. Ethan scanned it. His eyes widened slightly. That amount could buy him a ship of his own, or let him retire quietly on some safe colony. "It is generous," Sereth said, noticing his reaction. "But the risk matches the reward." Ethan rubbed his jaw. The job sounded bad, dangerous, complicated. But deep inside he felt something stir. He had not come all this way across the stars to play it safe. He came because humans, though new to the galactic stage, wanted to prove themselves. This might be his chance. "When do I meet them?" Ethan asked at last. Sereth gave a small nod, as if he had expected this answer. "Now, they are waiting." The meeting chamber was elegant, with tall windows showing the endless stars outside. Strange glowing plants lined the walls, giving the room a soft golden light. 2 figures stood at the far end. Ethan saw at once that they were not ordinary. They were tall, graceful, their skin smooth and faintly glowing, like pearl touched by sunlight. Their eyes were bright, too bright, as if they carried inner fire. The sisters looked almost identical, yet their energy was different. The first, standing straight with her hands folded, had a calm and serious air. Her expression was careful, almost cold. This was Lyra, the elder twin. The second, standing with a slight playful tilt to her stance, smiled curiously at Ethan the moment their eyes met. This was Kyla, the younger. "So this is the human?" Kayla asked, her voice light, curious. "He looks smaller than I expected." Lyra gave her sister a sharp glance. "Appearances mean nothing. Skill matters." She turned her eyes on Ethan. "Do you believe you are strong enough to guard us?" Ethan stood tall. He felt their eyes testing him, judging him. "I don't believe. I know. If I take a job, I finish it." Kayla tilted her head, her smile growing. Bold words. Before Lyra could reply, the chamber door hissed open, and a group of masked intruders rushed inside, weapons drawn. Ethan reacted instantly. He grabbed the nearest overturned table and pushed the sisters behind it. Blaster fire scorched the walls. He pulled his sidearm, firing with steady precision. 2 intruders dropped. The others tried to press forward, but Ethan moved with speed and discipline, forcing them back. Within moments, the attackers retreated, dragging their wounded away. The chamber was silent again, save for the sound of Lyra's quick breath and Kayla's soft laughter. "Well," Kayla said with a grin, "I think I like him." Lyra's serious face softened slightly. She gave Ethan a long, measuring look. Perhaps Serath was right. Perhaps humans are more capable than we thought. Ethan holstered his weapon, heart still racing but face calm. He had not even accepted the job yet, and already he had risked his life for them. He looked at the sisters and said firmly, "If I'm your guard, you'll stay alive. That's a promise." Ethan Cole was not used to living with aliens staring at him like he was a strange creature. Yet, as he stood in the bright chamber of the Aurelian household, both sisters studied him in silence. Their glowing eyes moved from his boots to his face as if they wanted to see what made a human so different. The elder twin, Lyra, was the first to speak. Her tone was calm, almost cold. "You reacted quickly during the ambush. Most guards would have panicked." Ethan gave a small nod. "That's my job. Stay alive. Keep my clients alive." The younger twin, Kayla, leaned forward with a playful smile. "Clients. Is that how you see us, just numbers on a contract?" Ethan didn't flinch. "Doesn't matter what word I use. If I take the job, you walk out alive. Every time." Kayla laughed softly, almost musical. Lyra, however, kept her sharp, gaze fixed on him. Ethan could feel the weight of her judgment. Serath, the silver-skinned advisor, finally broke the silence. "The sisters have many enemies. They will test you. But if you succeed, you will earn their trust. Few outsiders have come this far," Ethan answered with his usual bluntness. "I don't need their trust, just their cooperation." That made Kayla laugh again, while Lyra's expression grew more thoughtful. The next few days tested Ethan more than he expected. He was assigned quarters inside the Aurelian residence, a massive living complex aboard Vera Station. Its walls shimmered with soft colors that changed depending on mood. Strange glowing plants filled the halls and music played at all hours, flowing like water through the rooms. For Ethan, it felt alien in every way. The food shimmered with faint light, smelling sweet but tasting sharp. The air was rich with scents he didn't know. Even the beds seemed alive, adjusting shape when he lay down. But the hardest part was not the environment. It was the twins. Lyra and Kayla were inseparable yet opposite in nature. Lyra spent hours studying trade reports, legal codes, and diplomatic letters. She carried herself like a queen, her posture straight, her voice steady. Kayla, on the other hand, lived with restless curiosity. She wandered the station, talked to strangers, and asked Ethan endless questions about Earth. "What is rain?" she asked one morning while poking at his gear. "Water falling from the sky," Ethan said while cleaning his weapon. "Why would water fall? Does the sky break?" Ethan sighed. "It's natural. Keeps the planet alive." Kayla grinned. "Your world sounds messy. I want to see it one day." Lyra, overhearing, cut in sharply. "Focus, Kayla. We are not here to dream about primitive planets." Kayla stuck out her tongue at her sister, and Ethan had to fight the urge to smile. The first real test of his job came sooner than expected. One evening, the sisters were scheduled to attend a diplomatic dinner aboard the station. Sarath warned Ethan that rival families would be present. "They will not strike openly," Sarath said, "but watch for small dangers. A drink, a handshake, a whisper. Deadly things can hide in simple acts." Ethan adjusted his armored jacket and checked his sidearm before escorting the sisters to the glittering hall. The dinner was unlike anything Ethan had seen. Tables floated on platforms of light. Alien nobles glowed in shimmering robes, their voices rising in layered harmonies. Music filled the air like waves of crystal. The sisters moved with grace, drawing every eye in the hall. Ethan stayed close, scanning constantly. It did not take long to spot trouble. A server passed too close, holding a tray with 2 glasses of sparkling drink. The man's hand shook, and his eyes darted toward the sisters. Ethan stepped forward, snatching 1 glass before it reached Kayla. He sniffed it and caught a faint metallic smell. Without a word, he smashed the glass against the table edge. The liquid hissed as it hit the air, burning the surface. The hall went silent. All eyes turned to him. "That drink was poisoned," Ethan said flatly. Ethan Cole was not used to living with anyone, let alone 2 alien sisters whose every habit seemed strange to him. The first few days inside the Aurelian residence were a whirlwind of adjustment. The halls were alive. Walls shifted colors depending on the mood of the room. Doors opened silently as Ethan approached and closed behind him without a sound. Strange plants glowed softly in every corner, releasing scents he could not identify. Even the floors hummed faintly, as if reacting to footsteps. "Do they all do this?" Ethan muttered under his breath while brushing past a staircase that seemed to float in midair. Kayla's laughter came from behind him. "Do what? Make everything alive?" Kayla grinned. "This is home. You'll get used to it." "Maybe." Lyra, who had been following quietly, gave Ethan a measured look. "Adaptation is essential. If you cannot adapt, you are a liability." Ethan nodded, though inwardly he bristled. He had survived battlefields where people could be crushed under machinery or shot from the sky. A glowing wall did not intimidate him. Yet the sisters' home was different. It tested patience, focus, and nerves in subtle ways. Meals were the next challenge. The twins insisted Ethan eat with them at the same table. The food glimmered with soft light, shifting colors with every bite. A simple-looking fruit pulsated in his hand like a heartbeat. When he bit into it, the taste was sweet, then bitter, then tangy. Kayla watched him curiously. "Your face. You do not seem impressed." Ethan shrugged. "It's food. Keeps me alive. Taste is optional." Kayla laughed and popped a piece into her mouth anyway. Lyra, however, methodically cut her portions into perfect sections, carefully measuring every bite. "Food is fuel," Lyra said, "but also energy for focus. You must not underestimate it." Ethan nodded again. He respected the methodical nature of Lyra, though he found Kayla's unpredictable energy more fun. Days passed, and Ethan settled into routines. He began patrolling the residence at night, familiarizing himself with hidden corridors, pressure-sensitive floors, and silent alarms. He trained constantly, running drills with his sidearm and practicing hand-to-hand techniques. The sisters watched, sometimes helping, sometimes observing silently. Kayla often tried to surprise him during practice. She was fast, unpredictable, and clever. Every time Ethan blocked her moves, she laughed, and Ethan found himself smiling despite the seriousness of the drills. Lyra, on the other hand, preferred to discuss strategy and risk analysis, pointing out potential weaknesses in security. "You think like a soldier," Lyra said one evening as she examined a map of the station. "But you forget the political. To mention, some enemies are invisible." Ethan leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "I deal with visible threats first."
"Invisible threats will reveal themselves eventually," Kayla snorted. "Your confidence is amusing. I like that about you." Living with the twins was not just about safety or training. There was an unexpected rhythm to it. Ethan learned when
to speak and when to remain silent. He learned Kayla's love for jokes, her habit of touching glowing plants as if they were pets, and her fascination with human habits. She asked endless questions about Earth. Why humans slept. Why they built cities, why they ate food that didn't glow. Lyra, in contrast, valued quiet discussion. She explained trading laws, diplomacy, and negotiation tactics. She taught Ethan about their family's history, about rival houses, and about the stakes of the galaxy's trade network. At night, the three would sometimes stand together at the observation deck, watching the stars pass. Ethan realized he had never felt so small and yet so alive. The stars stretched endlessly, and yet somehow he mattered here. His choices could protect lives, and perhaps even affect the balance of power in distant sectors. The first true test of their trust came in a subtle way. Kayla had wandered off into the station without notifying anyone, a reckless move that could have ended in disaster. Ethan found her at the edge of a busy docking bay, curious eyes fixed on a group of alien merchants. "Kayla," he said sharply, grabbing her arm, "you cannot wander like this. Do you understand the risk?" She smiled sheepishly. "I was just exploring. Nothing dangerous happened." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "You don't know that. I am here to protect you. That includes when you think you are clever." Kayla laughed, pulling her arm free. "You are so serious, it's exhausting." Ethan shook his head, but he could not hide a small smile. Despite her impulsive nature, Kayla's curiosity reminded him why humans, though young, could sometimes thrive among more experienced species. Humans adapted. Humans endured. Humans survived. One evening, Lyra summoned him to her study. "You have done well," she said quietly, her glowing eyes steady. "You are not like other humans. Most would be overwhelmed by this environment, by us. You adapt. That is rare." Ethan inclined his head. "I survive. That's what humans do." Lyra's expression softened slightly. "Yes, perhaps that is why I believe you may be more than just a guard. You may become part of this household." Ethan blinked. "Part of the household?" "Yes," Lyra said, a rare trace of warmth in her voice. "You understand the danger, you protect, and you are not afraid. That is more than we expected." Kayla entered, her smile wide and mischievous. "See, human? You're officially part A of the family. I claim you as my favorite." Ethan laughed quietly. Living here, he realized, would not be easy. But it might be the most important mission he had ever undertaken, not because of money, not because of fame, but because he was finally somewhere he belonged. And for a human, belonging among the stars was rare. Ethan Cole had grown accustomed to life in the Aurelian residence. He knew the halls, the alarms, the hidden passages. He knew the moods of the twins. Yet even with all his preparation, something felt off. It started with small incidents. A security panel flickered and reset without reason. A door that should have locked on schedule remained open for a few minutes. Ethan discovered subtle scratches on the walls near the sisters' private chambers, nothing obvious but enough to hint someone had been there. "What is it?" Kayla asked one morning, noticing his frown as he scanned the hallway. "Someone has been testing our defenses," Ethan said quietly. "Careful, not everything is as it seems." Lyra listened, her glowing eyes narrowing. "Explain," she demanded. Ethan walked them through his observations, the broken schedule, the strange fingerprints, the subtle vibrations in the floors. "All signs point to someone learning our patterns. They haven't tried to attack yet, but it's coming. We must prepare." Kayla tilted her head. "You think someone is spying on us?" "Yes," Ethan said firmly. "And they aren't just curious, they're planning something." The sisters took his warning seriously. Lyra immediately started reviewing security protocols, running simulations with Serath. Kayla, restless, wanted action. "I want to see them coming," Kayla said. "I want to know we can stop them." Ethan shook his head. "That's not how threats work. They strike when you're not looking." Lyra looked at Ethan thoughtfully. Perhaps humans have an instinct we lack. You see danger in ways we do not. That may save our lives. Ethan simply nodded. Humans survived by being unpredictable. That unpredictability often gave them an edge over more experienced species. Days later, Ethan discovered the first clue to the larger threat. One night, while checking a rarely used corridor, he noticed a faint shimmer in the air, like a heat haze. Moving closer, he realized it wasn't natural. A cloaked figure was sneaking along the wall, carrying a small device that seemed to scan everything it touched. Ethan moved silently, catching the figure off guard. In seconds, the intruder was restrained, his device deactivated. "Who sent you?" Ethan demanded. The alien mercenary, grimacing in pain, refused to speak. Ethan left him in the custody of the station security. But the incident confirmed his suspicion. Someone wanted the twins, and not just for personal gain. That evening, he confronted the sisters in their study. "We're not just dealing with thieves," Ethan said. "This is bigger. They want something only you have." Lyra frowned. "Something only we have? What could that be?" Kyla's curiosity shone through. "What is it, Ethan? Tell us." Ethan took a deep breath. "You two carry something important. A secret the galaxy would kill for. I don't know the full details yet, but it's powerful and dangerous. You cannot underestimate it." Lyra's glowing eyes darkened slightly. "You speak as if you already know the risk." "I've seen enough wars to know what power does to people," Ethan said. "I won't let it touch you while I'm here." Kayla moved closer, her playful grin gone. "Then teach us how to fight." Ethan nodded. He had already been training them in hand-to-hand combat and defense, but now he realized they needed more. He spent long hours drilling them in stealth, strategy, and awareness, teaching them to anticipate danger before it arrived. A week later, the sisters revealed their secret to Ethan. They led him to a hidden chamber beneath their living quarters. The walls shimmered with protective runes, and in the center floated a glowing map. It pulsed with energy like a heartbeat. "This is the Stargate map," Lyra explained quietly. "It shows the location of an ancient gateway. Whoever controls it could dominate trade, exploration, and even military movement across sectors. That is why our enemies want us," Kayla added. "It is not just gold or power. It is control over the very paths between worlds." Ethan's jaw tightened. "That's why someone is spying. They want it, and they're willing to kill to get it." Liar. The warning had come. Ethan Cole had expected trouble, but nothing prepared him for the sheer force of it. The night was quiet at first, the stars outside the Aurelian residence sparkling like distant diamonds. Then the alarm sounded, soft at first, then rising into a steady, urgent wail. Intruders were approaching, moving faster than Ethan had predicted. "Everyone to your stations!" Ethan shouted. His voice was calm, precise, and carried the weight of command. "Lyra, Kayla, stay inside. Follow my instructions exactly. Do not leave the safe zones." Lyra gave him a brief nod, already analyzing the situation. Kayla's usual playful energy was replaced by tense focus. She drew herself up straight and said, "I fight by your side, Ethan. I won't just hide." Ethan hesitated. Kayla was fast, clever, and strong, but reckless. "No," he said firmly. "Your role is to survive. Fighting comes later." Kayla's eyes narrowed, but she obeyed. The first wave hit like a storm. Masked mercenaries moved through the corridors, equipped with energy weapons and shields. Ethan had anticipated the attack, using the residence's architecture to his advantage. Walls shifted, passages opened and closed, lights flickered to disorient the attackers. He moved like a shadow, firing precise shots, taking cover behind reinforced walls and using his knowledge of human tactics to surprise the intruders. Every move was calculated, every step strategic. Even against superior numbers, Ethan's human instincts, adaptability, endurance, and unpredictability kept the attackers off balance. The mercenaries had trained for centuries in alien combat, but they were not used to someone who could improvise in ways they did not understand. Lyra, from the observation deck, directed Ethan and the household staff like a general. "Left corridor, 3 intruders," she called out. "Trap them near the stairs." Kayla, despite being confined to the safe zone, assisted by relaying sensor data and minor distractions. Together, their efforts made Ethan's defense almost unbeatable. Still, the attackers pressed forward. Ethan could feel the tension rising. Every corridor held a potential trap or ambush. Every corner could hide a lethal surprise. He moved into the main hall just as a group of mercenaries tried to break the reinforced doors. With precise timing, he threw a charge to disable their shields, then neutralized them with a combination of gunfire and hand-to-hand combat. His body moved with trained precision, his mind anticipating the enemy's next step. Hours passed like minutes. Ethan's endurance was tested. He felt the burn in his arms, the ache in his legs, but he did not stop. Humans were built to endure, to keep moving when all else failed. That was the edge he had over these attackers, his refusal to quit. The mercenaries had one goal: the Stargate map. Ethan's first priority was to protect the sisters and prevent the map from falling into their hands. He moved through hidden passages, repositioned defenses, and countered attacks with unexpected maneuvers. At one point, a hidden corridor collapsed behind him, blocking the intruder's path. Ethan didn't pause. He used the moment to trap another group in a side chamber, sealing them until station security could arrive. The final confrontation came sooner than he expected. A shadow moved faster than the others, cutting through the chaos. Ethan recognized him immediately: Vorak, the warlord who had orchestrated the attacks. He was bigger, stronger, and armed with advanced energy weapons. His eyes burned with cold intent as he advanced. "You should not have come here, human," Vorak hissed. Ethan stood his ground. "I am not just a human," he said. "I am their shield, and shields never break." The two clashed in the main hall. Energy blades and blaster shots collided, sparks flying, walls groaning under the force. Vorak was relentless, his strikes powerful and precise. But Ethan's endurance and agility allowed him to dodge, counter, and strike when the warlord least expected it. Hours of strategy, observation, and instinct came together in that fight. Ethan did not rely on strength alone. He relied on creativity, endurance, and human grit. Finally, using a combination of feints and traps set earlier in the hall, Ethan managed to disarm Vorak. The warlord fell, defeated, but alive. Ethan could have finished him, but he chose to secure him for station authorities instead. Mercy, even in battle, was a human trait that sometimes turned the tide. When the dust settled, Ethan moved through the residence. The sisters were safe. Household staff were shaken but unharmed. The attackers were either captured or fleeing into the void of the station. Lyra approached him, her glowing eyes calm but filled with gratitude. "You have done what few could. Not just protecting us, but defending the map, the family, everything. You are more than a guard, Ethan Cole. You are indispensable." Kayla ran up to him, smiling despite the chaos around them. "I knew you were special. You didn't just fight, you were smart, brave, and amazing." Ethan felt a rare warmth. He had fought for pay before, for survival, for duty. But this was different. Here, he had earned something far greater than money or fame. He had earned their trust, their respect, their lives. Serath appeared beside them, nodding solemnly. "The threat is over, for now. But remember, there are others who will seek what you protect. You have proven your worth today." Ethan looked at the sisters, then at the map. The Stargate map still floated in its protective chamber, glowing softly, untouched. He had won today, but he knew this was only the beginning. He turned to the twins. "We survived. That's what matters. But we need to stay ready. They will return. And next time, they may come stronger." Lyra nodded, her mind already planning. Kayla grinned, her energy returning. "Then we'll be ready too, with you." Ethan smiled faintly. Humans survived in the harshest conditions, but humans thrived when they fought for something worth protecting. And now, for the first time, he understood what that truly meant. The galaxy was wide, dangerous, and full of enemies, but together they had faced one of the deadliest threats and survived. And in that moment, Ethan realized that his place was here, not just as a guard, but as a protector, a partner, and a part of a family that spanned the stars. The stars outside. The windows twinkled with distant light. Ethan, Lyra, and Kayla stood together, ready for whatever came next. The battle was over. The attackers were gone, Vorak defeated, and the Stargate map secure. Yet the quiet that settled over the Aurelian residence was not peaceful. It was a moment of reflection, of weighing what had been gained and lost. Ethan Cole moved through the halls, checking alarms, inspecting walls, and scanning the surroundings, as always. His instincts, honed by years of survival and war, remained sharp, but something had changed. He no longer felt like a temporary presence here. He felt needed. Lyra met him in the observation deck, her glowing eyes reflecting distant stars. "The threat is gone for now," she said, voice steady. "But the galaxy does not forget. There will be others. You know that, Ethan." "I know," Ethan replied. "But surviving is what humans do, adapting and staying alive. That's how we thrive." Lyra regarded him quietly for a moment. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. "You're right, and perhaps that is why I trust you more than anyone else in this household." Kayla burst into the observation deck without knocking as usual, though her energy now had a calm confidence. She clapped Ethan on the shoulder. "See? Told you you were amazing. You didn't just protect us, you fought like a storm." Ethan smiled faintly, used to her energy but never tired of it. "We all did this together," he said. "You two survived. That counts too." Kayla grinned. "I like surviving with style." She paused, her expression softening. "I'm glad you're here, Ethan. More than I thought I would be." Ethan looked at her, seeing the rare vulnerability behind her playful energy. Humans might be young, in the galaxy, but they understood loyalty, courage, and sacrifice. For the first time he felt the weight of his place in a new family, one that spanned species, culture, and countless stars. Days passed, and life slowly returned to a routine. The sisters resumed their studies and trade responsibilities, but now Ethan was fully integrated into their household. He ate meals with them, patrolled corridors with confidence, and even participated in discussions about trade and diplomacy. Lyra, once distant and cautious, now valued his opinions. "Your insight on station defenses is practical," she admitted one evening. "I underestimated humans. Your ways are unconventional but effective." Kayla laughed. "See? Even Lyra admits it. I told you humans are full of surprises." Ethan shook his head, smiling faintly. "I'm just doing what I can. Survival and protection. That's what I know best." The station buzzed with news that Vorak's syndicate had collapsed after his defeat. Rival houses, once emboldened by whispers of the twins' vulnerability, now approached with caution. Humans, once underestimated, had proven their worth. And among them, Ethan stood as a symbol of grit, courage, and the unpredictable strength of humanity. Lyra watched the reports with calm focus. "The galaxy will remember this night," she said, "and perhaps they will think twice before underestimating a human again." Kayla leaned against the glowing wall, smirking. "I like that idea. Makes me proud to have a human like Ethan around." Ethan's chest tightened, not from pride but from something warmer. Belonging. A few weeks later, the sisters approached Ethan with a proposal. "You do not have to leave," Lyra said simply. "Most humans would return to Earth after this, but you have